Okay, the last piece for today's lesson is how to solve log inequalities. Now you'll notice the first two have single logs, 9 and 10 have a log on each side. But the thing you have to be careful of is the fact that they're inequalities. Inequalities, it matters in the direction that the inequality symbol faces. So how you rewrite it is extremely important. So for number 7, since it's a single log and it's isolated, we want to rewrite it correctly. So I'm going to drop down the inequality symbol, base to power on the other side. If you do not write it this way, you are going to end up having to remember to flip that symbol. So rather than having one extra thing to remember, just drop it down, base to power, other side. So x has to be greater than or equal to 64. The fact that we have inequalities, we have to check the restriction. So if you remember, when we did square roots, we always had that separate inequality. Now with logarithms, since what's inside can't be 0, we're going to set it greater than 0. Whereas square roots, it was greater than or equal to 0. Then you say to yourself, does this domain put any restrictions on that answer? In this case, it does not. So my answer is 64 to infinity. Remember, there's a bracket because it's equal to, and the infinity always gets a parenthesis. So now taking a look at the second example. Again, drop it down, base to power, other side. X is less than 16. Then we have to check our domain. Now, according to the domain, x has to be greater than 0. Does this put any restrictions on x is less than 16? Yes, it does. So my answer is going to be 0 to 16. So those are single log problems. Now 9 and 10, you have common logs or a log to a common base on both sides. Cancel, cancel. Solve is normal. I always like to get the x on the left side. Divide, so I have to switch the symbol because I'm dividing by a negative. But now this time I have two domains. I have to do x plus 3 greater than 0. So x has to be greater than negative 3. And then I have to do 2x plus 1 greater than 0. So x is greater than negative 1/2. Void out the smaller one. See if the bigger one puts any restrictions on the actual answer. And it does. So therefore my answer is going to be negative 1/2 to positive 2. Very similar to what we did with square roots. Next example, same process. Logs cancel. 2x plus 5 less than or equal to 4x minus 3. Again, I'm going to bring the x over to the left. Divide and flip. Then I'm going to do my two domains. 2x plus 5 has to be greater than 0. So x has to be greater than 5/2. 4x minus 3 greater than 0. So x has to be greater than 3/4. Get rid of the smaller one. Does the bigger one put any restrictions on the actual answer? And in this case, it does not. So my answer is going to go from 4 to infinity. Very similar to our square root problems. Okay, so those are the basics. So now it's going to be your turn. You're going to do some practice problems. It is in the classwork tab. So please just make sure you take a pic, send it to me through Google Classroom. If you have any questions, just let me know.